YouTube! Welcome to another video! Today we're watching True Facts, The Science of the Praying Mantis by Z Frank! Yippee! It's been so long since we watched True Facts! Let's go!
Sponsored by Brilliant. When they first emerge from the nursery that their mother built, mantids don't look like much. Sort of a booger but rib for pleasure vibe. Not all that intimidating at this point.
Sorry! But he does look kind of like a booger.
Are they? Now the first order of business is to wriggle out of a tight cocktail dress sort of membrane that surrounds them. And as they do, you can start to see their legs and their antennae. You know, getting those antennae out, that's a real bitch. That membrane she was in is attached to the inside of the egg case by a...
No, he looks kind of cute. Or she. I feel like praying mantises are kind of feminine for some reason. I don't know. But obviously, it's more... I guess it's an it because it's an insect, right?
Silken thread that her mummy made. Some foresight there, because this little baby can use it to climb down. Of course, she's not alone. She's got some siblings up in there. And pretty soon there's a whole mess of them hanging by their butts like anatomically correct Spider-Men. And women, when they finally get down from the ropes course, the world...
Okay. Bro looks goofy. Bro looks goofy, though.
...is a bit stacked against them. I mean, they're barely a thing at this point. You can see right through them. The outside bits probably don't even have that much of a crunch. And to make matters worse, there isn't that much of a sibling bond going on. Around the same time that you and I were swaddled up and sucking on a tit, these ones are surrounded by cannibals. Look at this one. He's pulling on his own leg to get away from that ass biter. Now, if they survive that gauntlet, they have to get themselves to some food and shelter. But at this stage, they don't have their wings. They can, however, jump. And they're damn good at it, too. Look at this one mugging for the camera. Shameless. It's not about you. They can even push off smooth surfaces like glass because they have these little toe pads for extra grippage. Because they're pushing off with their back legs, their bodies rotate in the air. But they can stabilize this with their Really, Jerry? Yes, I want you to change it. All right.
Oh my
They can
God.
modify their posture mid-air
Okay.
to line up with the target. These mantid nymphs will have to go through a series of molts before they reach adulthood. And it's in that final molt. God, that's a terrible word. Molt. Anyway, it's in the final one that they get their wings, as well as functioning naughty bits. It's a pretty
They look so much better when they're green. I don't know why.
exciting day. I'm sure it beats finding your first pubic hair. And that was pretty exciting. Now, they don't all come out the oven looking like this. You know, this one's a bit vanilla, or mint, I guess. But mantids come in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You'll notice that most of them go for a sort of camouflage situation. Now, this hidey-hidey business is important, not only because there's birds out there with bad intentions, but also because mantids are ambush hunters. Now, I don't know how much ambushing you've done, but it works a lot better if they can't see you. If they can, it gets awkward. How come you're crouching behind the water cooler sort of deal? Zip. Now, depending on where they live, they've evolved to blend into all sorts of things. Jerry.
That's really cool. Because like they actually look like leaves or stalks or something. That's so cool.
There's not one in this shot. No, it doesn't underscore the point. Anyway, they've evolved to blend into a bunch of things. See, now my rhythm's off. Sure, you got some slackers that didn't put much effort into it.
Hey. He might not have put a lot of effort into it, but it's still stylish, you know. Simplicity is sometimes good.
Being long and green is sort of straight out of Hiding in Nature 101. But you can see that selection has a way of pushing you towards some of the details. This one picked up some of that reddish fringe. Look at the back end on this one. You'll see some stripes that are just around the right distance. And here you got, what is that, a leopard print? You could blend into brunch at the yacht club. A number of others went for stick. It's a bit Captain Obvious if you ask
Stick bug!
me.
Get stick bug! But I really like those as well. I really like that! They just look like actual plants. He also looks like, I don't know if I don't think this is nice to say, but like, if you broke him in half, he would also make like a stick crack. I'm sorry, I'm not cruel, I wouldn't do that, but I'm just saying.
And they're not obvious, that's the whole point, but you know what I'm saying. But for my money, it's the ones that went for leaf that you want to take the lessons from. Especially the dead ones. It's a lot of edging. You gotta get your crimping iron out. But if you want the Oscar, it's all about method acting. And they lean into it,
So
literally.
cool.
Get their sway on. What's that, Mommy? Is it dangerous? Oh no, that's just a leaf dangling in the wind.
Yes, he's actually like acting as if he was a leaf.
Can I touch it? You know, and then you're giving away size small clothing at the yard sale. All right, that's dark. A lot of this sort of camouflage is about blending into the clutter, ragged edges and mottled coloration. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be kind of messy in the right way. There are, however, mantids that have evolved to look like things that are fairly specific.
That's a beautiful metaphor for life. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be messy in the right way to fit in. I don't know.
Like some mantid nymphs that seem to mimic a specific species of ant. It's the attitude that gives them away, though. This one's ready to fight the whole f***ing world. For a long time, it was assumed that orchid mantises were mimicking specific species of orchids. Makes sense, right? Look just like a flower, hide amongst them, and then eat things that come to pollinate them. Of course, the science hippies had to come in and say it was more complicated. It's a bummer that bullshit's so much easier to understand. So anyways, here's the deal. The orchid mantis gets into the whole deception thing fairly young. When they're babies, they're tiny. So tiny that ants...
I have the same camouflage like them. Women never seem to see me. I'm so sorry, Lena. I'm so sorry.
Let's prey on them. See that little red thing under the leaf? That's one getting chased right there. The red and black bodysuit is assumed to mimic an assassin bug. You can probably trick a couple ants that way, the dumb ones. After the first molt, sounds like you're trying to deep throat a cue ball. Molt? Anyway, they change color and start getting that flower vibe. They also start to develop these petal-shaped lobes on the back two pair of legs, sort of like fake glutes. The thought was that this was to trick pollinators into thinking they were an orchid, which they would hide amongst. Now, to our eyes, that seems plausible. But insects see the world different, and to a bee, the orchid mantis doesn't necessarily read orchid. But it does look like a flower to die for. Sorry. The pigment that gives the mantis its color absorbs UV light, just like many flowers do. And to pollinators, this makes it pop out from the background. The mantis also seems to emit some chemical cues. And all of this works so well that many pollinators prefer the mantis over real flowers. So instead of mimicking a specific flower, they seem to have hacked their prey's sensory systems to become a thing that just sort of exudes flowerness. But what about those flower petals they have on their legs? I mean, that seems fairly specific. There's a reason I've been going on about Brilliant for years now. It's because Brilliant helps you become a better thinker and problem solver in a fun, engaging way. They've got oodles and oodles, that's a science word, of fun, interactive lessons in math, science, programming, data analysis, and AI. Take some of those and you can start to understand what those science hippies are on about. Certainly a better way to learn than watching videos, except mine, of course. But playing with concepts in a hands-on way has been proven to be more effective. Helps your brain parts get it in there so it sticks. You know, science is all about building on fundamental concepts. And Brilliant has a whole course on scientific thinking that helps you build up your intuitions on things like the physics of light, how gears work, digital circuits, things you experience.
Oh my god, I suck at the gear thing. I'm so bad at science.
Day, and being in the world is more fun when you know how it ticks. To try everything that Brilliant has to offer for free, visit brilliant.org/ZayFrank or scan the QR code on screen. Or you can just hit that link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. It's not easy to find a sponsor you believe in, and Brilliant's that for me. Go check them out today.
The gears do not turn inside the massive forehead. God damn it.
Wait, oh right. So if orchid mantises don't really look like orchids to their prey, then why bother with the fancy petal-shaped leg lobes? Well, the science hippies looked into that too. Built a model mantis out of clay that the pollinators were just as attracted to. I mean, at this point, you gotta start wondering about these pollinators. But this allowed them to move those leg lobes around or remove them altogether. And it turns out they don't really matter that much, at least not the pollinators. But they do seem to have another function.
Oh no. I don't know why, but I always forget that some bugs eat other bugs. This is so... I don't know why. This is so scary to me. Bye-bye. Oh no.
The juvenile mantises may not have wings, but they can use those lobes to glide. In fact, they're the best-known gliding arthropod. Sort of a niche awards category. And it seems like those leg lobes may have evolved for that function first. Now, some other mantises evolved lobes on their front legs. Not for gliding, but so they can do these karate chop dance moves. And they do these when they're about to get their ass kicked. Now, to a predator, this sort of thing is probably just straight up confusing. But if they do get attacked, these lobes can act as decoys.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, of course. Yeah, also, yeah, mammals also eat other mammals. Bugs eat other bugs. Snails eat other snails sometimes. Or slugs. Mollusks eat other mollusks. Mollusks eat other mollusks. Fish eat fish. Yeah, but it's kind of, I don't know why. Because, like, I don't know why in my mind all bugs are friends with each other.
See, that other mantis goes for the lobe, not the body. And you'd rather get a scratch on your arm than your head bit. And that's the thing, under pressure, a lot of mantises don't just tuck tail and run. They get big, stand their ground. And on the other side of that camo, some of them have some fancy shit going on. You know how, like, some rich people have those red-soled shoes to warn you they might be toxic? These startle displays are used to confuse a predator, make them pause for a second and wonder just who it is they're f***ing with. Now, you're probably wondering how well it works, and I'll let you know how this scene plays out in a minute. But you'll notice that this one's sort of swaying back and forth. It's not just to look cray-cray, it also has to do with how mantises perceive depth. Just by moving their head, even with a single eye, they can use something called parallax. The idea here is that as you move, things closer to you move more than things farther away. Here, we'll track the tips of these two leaves. You know something's closer to you because it appears to move a lot more than the stuff behind it. Another way to judge depth is pretty straightforward, literally. It's called looming. That's when an object appears to get bigger in your visual field fairly quickly. You don't need a ton of fancy calculations to know you're about to get hit in the face.
No, that's me! He's just like me! Oh my god, I'll flinch if I'll flinch when something on the screen gets, like, close to me. God damn it!
Mantises have another trick, and for that it's worth a refresher on how we perceive depth. We use something called stereopsis. Because our eyes are a few inches apart, the image that's projected onto the back of each eye is slightly different. You know this because when you were bored as hell as a child, you'd focus on an object, then alternate which eye was open and watch things that were in front or back of that object shift. Listen, I grew up in the 80s. That's what we did. What our big fancy brain does is take these two different images and essentially move them over each other to find areas of matching brightness. The more it has to shift these images to match an object, the closer that object is. The brightness of that object in each eye has to be roughly the same, though. If you put on special glasses that reverse the brightness in one eye, even though the shapes are the same, we could no longer compute the depth. Now, our brains are constantly doing this brightness matching, and it's a heavy lift. Insects and their tiny brains, by and large, don't do this. Their eyes also see two slightly different images, but their brains don't really match them up. But mantises seem to be unique among insects in that they do something similar to what we do. And it comes in handy when they want to eat one of those little green burritos there.
Oh no!
Instead of matching up brightness in each eye, they match up areas where there's motion. Doesn't even...
Our brains are kind of dumb sometimes. Our brains are easy to be tricked, but also our brains do a lot of smart things, I guess, right?
Have to look the same in each eye. Just has to move. Schwaba! They know this because they put little 3D glasses on mantises. With wax, they come off. That way they could control what each eye sees. Like one eye could only see the red dot and the other eye could only see the blue one. If we wore the glasses, this would be like a crappy 3D movie with a single purplish dot that would appear to...
Dude, the 3D glasses, the old 3D glasses are so funny. The red and blue one. I don't know how the technology evolved, because nowadays when you go into the cinema, you get like the you know, they just look like sunglasses, the new ones, right? Remember those? Yeah, I remember. I think we had Shrek in 3D on DVD, right? But the 3D version was just, you know, you had to wear the 3D glasses for that. So if you took them off and you watched the 3D movie, it would have like blue and white outlines. It's silly. It's funny.
But because it's standing still, the mantis most likely doesn't experience this as having depth. But once those dots start moving, the mantis system turns on. Now with those glasses, it's all 3D. And when it appears to be in the sweet spot about 2.5 centimeters away, they strike. So those little mantis brains don't have to count.
3D stuff never worked for me. Maybe your brain is too smart. Because your brain, isn't the 3D thing also technically like a trick? Maybe your brain doesn't get tricked.
About 2.5 centimeters away, they strike. So those little mantis brains don't have to calculate all the time, only when it counts. Now, in terms of mantid strikes, I told you that we'd follow up on this scenario. Oh, all right. Well, that didn't play out like I thought it would. But listen, you should know, lizards and mantids have beef, and it starts in childhood. Back then, the lizards, they're like bullies on the playground. I mean, the stakes are a bit higher, but you can see it's not exactly a fair fight. But by the time that the mantis hits puberty, it's a different story. Look at that, he's found his swagger. Not sure that shaking your ass has ever looked so intimidating. That lizard's having some second thoughts, isn't he? And then by the time they're full grown, I mean, it's a mantis.
So to see 3D women is so funny. Thank you for the hydrate.
Some second thoughts, isn't he? And then by the time they're full grown, I mean, it's a mantis the size of you. And I'm sure in this situation, you do the same thing that the lizard does. Run away! Now you can see that this lizard here had a bit more bravado. And the technique, by the way, you'll notice that it went right for its head. It's like fighting a zombie, you gotta take out the brain. Because here's what happens when you don't. Now this is a little unusual because you see that the mantis used the tip of its leg to pierce through the arm of the lizard. Normally the mantis strike is much more grabby-grabby. I'm sure you've seen it. It sort of starts off in a reverse boxer pose. The front part of the leg, the tibia, is folded back against the femur. And by the way, this right here is what happens when you cut funding. The science hippies can't even afford the real flowers. Gotta go down to the Dollar General in their home decor section. Whoops. Now inside those legs, they're all Popeye, filled with these bulky muscles. When they're in this cocked pose, they build up a little tension. And then if something gets in their strike zone, the whole thing goes off in 2 stages.
Oh my god!
Can you get one that's not an idiot? In the first stage, they kick the whole thing out, sending the front part of the legs just beyond the prey. Then the flexors kick in, putting the brakes on that movement and snapping the tibia back towards the femur, trapping the prey between those 2 rows of spines. Because these movements are controlled by muscles and not a spring, for example, the movements are quite precise and can be adjusted for the size of the prey and its speed. They're not perfect. I mean, you try kicking out and catching something behind your knee, but they've got a don't quit attitude and they'll do it again.
Oh, is that why it's the praying mantis? Because of this movement?
Until they get it right. Now, there is this one newly discovered species in Peru that seems to do it a bit different. The front of their leg is evolved into a sort of fork. A combat fork with serrated tines, and they use this to directly stab insects instead of grabbing them. Look at how proud of herself this one looks. Now, if you mix all this weaponry with that built-in mantis aggression, you could imagine that making babies can get a bit intense. In most cases, the female is larger, so you definitely want to wait till she's ready. And luckily, she makes that pretty clear. She's got a gland in her abdomen that releases some let's get busy stank. Now, in many species, you can't see it, but you can see this sort of drop that ass pose that she assumes.
Oh my god!
She's upside down, so it's more of a lifting butt. More of a lifting. But the female Stenophylla lobovertex has a very prominent gland. Pops right out and wafts its beguiling pheromones.
Oh my god! Why does it always feel illegal to watch that?
And they're packed with these little sensory hairs that can pick up on those cues. When he does do, it's usually best to approach with a bit of caution. You've seen what happens when things appear in their strike zone. Now, there are exceptions. The male springbok mantis is a bit short on patience. He goes right in and makes a wrestling match out of it. It's a bit of a questionable tactic. About half the males are dead before they even get a chance to mate. And the female often gets injured, the whole thing's a mess.
Oh no!
In most species, the males have more chill. You know, play it cool until you're close enough and on the right side of those grabbers. Then you make your move. From here, it's a bit of a make sure you bring the manual sort of sex, because the female has a genital plate that needs to be pried open. Typical male, he's got a whole bunch of tools for the job. There's a hook for the prying, and then another doodad to hold it open. The males typically approach from the right and dress to the left, as the tailors say. And as you can imagine, the whole thing often takes some doing. Once it's all in place, the transfer of his sperm to her spermatheca can take between 20 minutes and 6 hours, depending on... Well,
6 hours? 6 hours? Hello?
suppose. Might be thinking about work or the cat jumps on the bed. Now, most of the time, for most species, the male walks away just fine. Sure, once in a while, she's hungry. I mean, we've all been there, and DoorDash takes forever. Mummy, do you remember Daddy? Sure, he was delicious, great looking. Now, the female sort of pockets that sperm and can use it a few times. I mean, you can't blame her. Who wants to go through all that every time you want to make a baby? But when she's ready, she lays down a frothy substance, a bit like spray foam insulation, which later hardens.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. It looks like the insulation. What the fuck?
Into an ootheca, a casing in which she'll lay all her future little badasses. And that, my love, is how the mantis do.
Oh my god.
And that's the thing that no one tells you about eating butterfly. I mean, sure, they're delicious, but they're like the Ritz cracker of the insect world.
No.
You end up with crumbs all over you. It's like a second meal getting that shit off.
Oh no. I feel like I forgot how freaky the Frank's videos can get. God damn it. God damn it. Well, anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. And come over to Twitch to watch me live. Check out my second channel for more content. And of course, subscribe to the Frank. And yeah, bye YouTube. Bye bye.